Task 1. Read aloud. Practice set 1. The practice set 1 has 40 statements. Let's go to statement 1. We have to read the statement 1, but before we start reading, we have approximately 30 seconds to go through it. It is very important to go through the statement because it makes the speaking part smooth. While going through the statement, we have to check for the pauses and difficult words in it. We have to see what are the difficult things here, see whether you can speak it or not. Now I am going to read statement 1 for you. I'll demonstrate the correct format of reading a statement. In the early years of financial independence, the savings rate is your most important number. Sure, having a high rate of return is important, but it shouldn't be your priority. Now you have noticed I have given a little pause whenever there is a comma or a full stop because this is the standard form of reading and we should do that, otherwise we may lose points. Now, like statement 1, we will follow the basic instructions for the rest of the statements. We will take 20 to 30 seconds approximately to read each statement. While going through it, we will check out the difficult words and the pauses. I will demonstrate the statement 2 here. The family was sitting and enjoying steaming balls of chicken soup with homemade macaroni when the news began. The top story was about a mysterious robbery from Noble Castle in the nearby city of Highlands. Now you will notice I have given pause when there was an and a full stop. There was two different words I found little different or you can say a little difficult to speak. The first one was mysterious, the second one was castle. Because you have to speak it right, the pronunciation should be accurate. Now in statement 3, we'll go through it in 20 seconds. Like, for example, I'm going through the statement. I will read it like the IT companies have outperformed other traditional companies which have been there for a long time. Accuracy has now become the most used word among the people. Now, while going through the statement, I have noticed that there is no much difficult word here, but still there is a word accuracy which I have to say it right. Okay, so now I'll demonstrate this one. Statement 3. The IT companies have outperformed other traditional companies which have been there for a long time. Accuracy has now become the most used word among the people. Like you saw, I've given only one pause in a full stop which comes there for a long time. Okay, and then I said each and every word right. Now in statement 4, I don't see a different word, but still I'll focus on appropriate. And apart from that, there are three different commas. That means I have to give three different pauses. So let's try statement 4 here. When immersed in the creative process, we often don't think about structure. That kind of thinking is more appropriate during the second revision process when you are more dedicated. Let's jump to statement 5 now. Now in statement 5, I will focus on two different words. First one is interpretable and second one is subtle. As I said while going through the statement, you can select any word which we will find little difficult to speak. So now I will read the statement 5 for you. Each of the book is definable and interpretable in many ways, from very subtle alterations to very obvious changes. It is important to pay attention to the visual role of thoughts. Now in statement 6, we will find that the statement is quite long and it's not at all divided. In these kinds of statement, we have to keep calm while we're reading the statement. So we'll try now the statement 6 smoothly. The driver paused for a moment, and this wasn't the first time he had been asked by somebody from one of the villages if they could bring a wheelbarrow onto his bus. Now in statement 7, it is same as statement 6, but it is quite more lengthier than that. So we will follow the same thing here. We will read the statement smoothly and slowly. Statement 7. Yasin did not want to leave his home in Iraq, but his father said that it was best for the family because it was not safe to live here anymore, and he wanted his son to grow up in a country that was accepting of all people. Now you notice that I still give pauses where there was an and but, which is very important when you are reading a statement. Now we'll jump to statement 8. In statement 8, I don't think there is any word which is hard to speak, but we will still focus on conjunctions. So I will read the statement 8 for you. Robert was very excited about going to school because his father and mother assured him that it would be a fun place where he will meet lots of new friends and learn interesting things. Now we'll jump to statement 9. Now in statement 9, the statement is divided into three different parts. So we have to give pauses when each line finishes or whenever there is a full stop. I'll read the statement 9 for you. One of the suitcase split open full of gold and the another one was still closed. Matthew was amazed. He was sure that this was the gold from the ancient temple. Now we'll jump to statement 10. Now I'll read statement 10 for you. You can focus on any word you find difficult, and then we have to focus on the conjunctions and full stop and commas. And when while reading the statement, we have to make sure that we have to be very smooth. Now, the camel and the fox were very good friends and very good thieves. One day, the two friends decided to cross the river so that they could travel to a nearby farm to steal food. I am supposed to give a presentation to my class tomorrow so that I can tell everybody about what I saw in India and show them all of the things I collected along the way. The king offered his daughter's hand to the man who could slay the mighty dragon. Many brave knights and noblemen have tried and failed, but in the end it was a simple cobbler who had slain the mighty dragon. The open fields that he was used to had been replaced by tall grey buildings. All he could see were crowds of people walking on massive stretches of pavement. He then seized his chance and opened one of the small gates behind the guardhouse and ran towards the crowd so that he can get away from the guard watch. The antennae are fantastic little tools that are very important in an ant's daily life. Ants use them to pick up smells, to feel vibrations through the ground, and to communicate with others. The old man opened the door and invited the soldiers to come in and sit at the table in the little kitchen. The table was set with two bowls, two spoons, and two forks. The red haired man took some rye bread from his pocket and tore off chunks to share it with his friends as the pot was put in front of them. He left the entrance of the house as he was going to work. Instead of following the crowd again, Alfredo changed his direction, like a totally new life he has adopted. However, there was a table covered with dishes of food and there was a large, comfortable bed too. After eating a full meal, he curled up in the bed and went straight to sleep. In the middle of the room sat a mountain of gems, so tall it touched the upper reaches of the cavern. The knights looked around in awe because they had never seen such riches. Nathan looked at it carefully and he noticed that it had very pretty patterns on it. He thought it was a shame that such a nice pot had been abandoned. She showed them which plants were poisonous and which roots you could eat, and even which plants had juicy leaves which could be chewed. The city mouse invited the country mouse to his home to try the incredible food there. The city mouse showed the country mouse his little den in a big human house. This pile of green stone is now the sacred temple, and it is where people catch the ferry to go to this great sacred place at high tide. There were lots of stories about people going missing at the border, and this made us all very scared. And then my mother decided that my aunt should come with us. Life can sometimes be really difficult and scary, and sometimes there are many changes, but I see that good things can come from change. I am looking forward to go to the university and having a career, and I am happy to be in a place full of opportunity and surrounded by different cultures. Security is mostly a superstition. Avoiding danger is no safer in long run than outright exposure. Life is either a daring adventure or nothing. Men go abroad to wander the heights of the mountains, at the huge waves of the sea, at the long courses of the rivers, at the vast compass of the ocean. If you want to build a ship, don't drum up people to collect wood and don't assign tasks to them, but rather teach them to survive the endless immensity of the sea. Transport of mails, transport of human voice, transport of flickering pictures in this century has in others a highest accomplishments, still have the single aim of bringing humans together. Although my family moved to US before I entered high school, I have always kept my eyes turned north, especially in recent years as I began to read articles about research conducted on glaciers. We invited all the parents to learn about the principles we were teaching their children, such as honesty, generosity, justice, and kindness. I gained a great deal of experience dealing with uninvolved or upset parents. I have grown up under the shadow of international affairs. I am fascinated by history, economics, and diplomacy. I believe through the study of international relations, I can effectively satisfy my curiosity in the fields. Far from the city, there lived a witch whose name used to scare people like anything, but in time, everybody forgot that fear as it was never existed. I have been bridging cultures throughout my life. This experience has taught me to look for differences to compromise and similarity to synthesize in order to balance different cultures. Throughout my life, I have tried to be a well balanced person. Growing up in the South, I had a hard time fighting the stereotypical image of a Northern person. To me, leadership does not necessarily mean accumulating as many titles as possible. I feel one leads through his dedication, action, and contributions. I don't view my important characteristics as different from those my family has imparted on me throughout the years. The pride, care, dedication, effort, and hardworking attitude came from them. When Mistress Owl tentatively glanced out at the world from her cozy hollow in the tree trunk, she could tell by the winter sun that it was well past noon.